Terrifyingly, what if the poorest, most emaciated woman he had ever met was the only one who could make the iron heart of an underworld king tremble so violently that he was willing to trade his entire empire for her? Imagine this, a 50-year-old man holding absolute power in Koreatown, wealthy beyond measure where money is just a number, yet living in utter loneliness in a mansion overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Until that fateful night, the night he sat alone at the head of his mother's lavish funeral banquet, and she walked in. She, Aaliyah Brooks, was merely a struggling community health aide, black, painfully thin from hunger and cold, wearing a threadbare coat with visible patches, shoes worn through at the soles. Yet she was the one who had held his mother's hand in her final hours, when he himself was tied up with business. Just one glance, just one trembling "thank you" from her chapped lips, was enough to ignite an explosive, passionate, and dangerously intense love in the frozen heart of Min Jun Kang. A love that terrified even him. Can this lightning-strike romance overcome the abyss between wealth and poverty, between two opposing worlds, between blood feuds of rival clans? Or will it drag both of them into a tragic vortex of bloodshed and ruin? Today, on Crimson Romance Stories, we're diving into this haunting love story titled Love Beneath the Ice. Brace yourselves, because this isn't just romance, it's salvation, it's sin, and it's the price of a heart that finally learns to beat again. Let's begin right now. I sat alone at the head of the long mahogany table in the private dining room of my Koreatown restaurant, the one my mother had built from nothing after we immigrated from Seoul when I was just a boy. The air was thick with the scent of grilled kalbi, kimchi stew bubbling softly on side burners, and fresh pine from the small family altar set up in the corner. White chrysanthemums surrounded her portrait, Soo-jin Kang, my mother, gone 3 days ago at 72. The Jessa ceremony had ended hours earlier, but the guests lingered, their voices a low murmur of condolences and shared memories. Luxury SUVs lined the valet outside, each one a testament to the empire I had expanded in Los Angeles. Gambling dens hidden behind legitimate real estate, protection rackets that kept Koreatown thriving under my watchful eye. At 50, I was Min Jun Kang, known to most as MJ, the man who commanded respect with a glance. Fair-skinned, sharp-featured, dressed in a tailored black Tom Ford suit that cost more than most people's rent. On the outside, I was unbreakable, powerful, wealthy beyond measure, living in a Palos Verdes mansion overlooking the Pacific. But inside, a storm raged. Guilt gnawed at me relentlessly, a violent turmoil that had worsened since her diagnosis. I had given her everything, private nurses, the best doctors money could buy, yet I couldn't save her. Loneliness hollowed me out. I lived alone, no wife, no children, just the weight of decisions that left blood on my hands, even if I never pulled the trigger myself these days. My heart was fractured, torn between the fierce loyalty I owed my family and the endless regret for the paths I had taken to protect it. The room was filled with Korea's elite transplanted to America, business associates in designer suits, politicians with calculated smiles, old friends from the immigrant days who knew better than to speak of certain dealings. Laughter echoed off the crystal chandeliers, mingling with the clink of soju glasses. This gathering was meant to honor her life, the extravagance she had always quietly appreciated, even as cancer wasted her away. I scanned the room absently, nodding at condolences, my mind elsewhere. Then she stepped in from the side entrance, hesitating as if unsure she belonged. Aaliyah Brooks. I knew her name from the nonprofit reports, the community health aide who had visited my mother's home in those final weeks, holding her hand through the pain when I was tied up in meetings or other matters. She was 25, African American, painfully thin from what looked like years of scraping by. Her coat was threadbare, patches visible at the elbows, and her shoes were worn through at the soles. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, evidence of sleepless nights and endless worry. She carried herself with a quiet dignity, but I could see the raw edges of poverty, the slight tremble in her hands from hunger or cold, the way she kept her gaze lowered, as if expecting rejection. She approached the altar first, lighting a stick of incense with careful reverence. Her movements were soft, restrained, timid, almost fearful in this room of wealth. Bowing deeply twice, she whispered something I couldn't hear, her voice soft and respectful. Then she turned, spotting me across the room. Her eyes widened slightly, confusion, then a flash of dread, as if realizing who I was. She knew my reputation, perhaps from whispers in the community. Powerless, destitute, she seemed to shrink under my stare. I don't know what pulled me to my feet, impulse or something deeper. The guilt surged violently in my chest. My mother had mentioned her often in those last days, this young woman who sat with her, bringing quiet comfort without expecting payment. As Aaliyah made her way toward me, navigating the crowd like a shadow, I felt an unexpected jolt. Up close, she was even more fragile. Emaciated frame under a simple black dress that had seen better days, skin dulled by exhaustion, lips chapped from cold winds whipping through unheated apartments. Yet there was a strength in her eyes, a hopeless resilience that hit me like a fist to the gut. "Mr. Kang," she said softly, her voice timid, laced with caution. "I'm so sorry for your loss. Your mother, she was kind to me. I just wanted to pay my respects." Her words were restrained, respectful, addressing me as an elder, a figure of authority far removed from her world. I could hear the despair beneath them, the exhaustion of someone living on the edge, nights without heat, meals skipped to feed her young son, humiliation from food bank lines and eviction notices. The contrast burned me, the brutal gap between my opulent life and her heartbreaking struggle. While I dined on Wagyu beef flown in from Japan, she likely rationed ramen packets. While my guards patrolled my estate, she faced the cruelty of a system that crushed the vulnerable without mercy. I nodded, my voice steady despite the inner rupture building. "She spoke of you often. Thank you for being there when family couldn't always be." Her eyes flickered with surprise, then unease, fear perhaps, that I knew too much. She shifted unsteady, as if the room spun from lack of sleep or low blood sugar. It was nothing. She didn't deserve to be alone. Alone. The word echoed in my fractured heart. I had been alone for years, surrounded by power but isolated by it. Guilt twisted sharper. How many times had I chosen business over bedside? Now, looking at Aaliyah, something explosive ignited inside me. A fierce, burning affection, immediate and overwhelming. It shocked me to my core, this surge of protectiveness toward this stranger, this impoverished woman who embodied everything my wealth couldn't touch. Raw humanity, quiet endurance amid injustice. Suddenly, raised voices cut through the murmur from the entrance. Two men from a rival faction, low-level enforcers pushing into Koreatown territory lately, had crashed the valet line, harassing my staff over protection fees. Bold, unexpected, a street-level confrontation on this night of all nights. My lieutenants moved, but I raised a hand, standing taller. The turmoil inside me boiled over into cold dominance. "Handle it outside," I said quietly to my second, but I followed, Aaliyah's wide-eyed fear pulling me like a tether. In the parking lot, under strings of Edison bulbs, the rivals sneered, irrational cruelty, testing me in grief. One shoved a valet, the other demanded tribute. Suspense thickened the air. I stepped forward, my presence alone scattering them back a step. No blows landed, just words laced with threat, my voice low and lethal. "Not tonight, not ever here." They backed off, muttering, engines roaring away. Danger averted, but my heart pounded with adrenaline and something new, fierce need to shield her from such chaos. Turning back, I found Aaliyah at the door, watching with shock, confusion deepening into disorientation. Her face paled, body swaying as if the world tilted. You didn't have to," she whispered, voice trembling. "But I did. For my mother, for the gnawing guilt, and now, inexplicably, for her." That burning love anchored me, passionate and unstoppable, tearing through my loneliness like wildfire. In her hopeless eyes, I saw a reflection of my own fracture, and a chance, absurd and cruel fate aside, for something real. As she slipped away into the night, coat pulled tight against the December chill, I stood there, inner conflict raging. Wealth couldn't buy peace, but perhaps protecting her could quiet the storm, or shatter me completely. 3 nights after the memorial, I sat alone in the darkened study of my Palos Verdes mansion, the Pacific Ocean a black void beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. The house was silent except for the low hum of the climate control and the occasional creak of expensive wood settling. A half-empty bottle of Yamazaki whiskey sat on the desk beside my mother's old smartphone, the one she had used until the very end. Her attorney had handed it to me after the Jessa, saying there was a private recording she wanted only me to hear. I had avoided it for days. Guilt already clawed at my insides like a living thing. I wasn't ready for her voice to tear the wound wider. But tonight, the loneliness was unbearable, a violent churning storm that left me pacing the marble floors in my socks, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up. At 50, I owned half of Koreatown's nightlife and most of its shadows, yet no one waited for me in this 15,000 square foot tomb. No child's laughter, no wife's touch. Just the relentless echo of choices I could never take back. Finally, I pressed play. Her voice filled the room, weakened by illness, but still carrying that quiet authority she had wielded over me since childhood. Minjuna, she began in Korean, the endearment slicing straight through my chest. If you are listening to this, I am gone. I do not fear death. I fear only that you will carry your burdens alone forever. I closed my eyes, throat tightening. There was a young woman who came to me through the nonprofit program. Her name is Aaliyah Brooks. She sat with me when pain kept me awake, held my hand when the morphine made me confused. She has a little boy, 6 years old, sick with asthma that she cannot always afford to treat. She is poor, my son, poor in the way we once were when we first came to this country, but without family to catch her. I saw her hunger, her exhaustion, the way she smiled anyway so I would not worry. My heart began to pound, a fierce, painful rhythm. I have no strength left to help her, but you do. Promise me, Minjun, protect her. Not with money thrown from a distance. That is easy for you. Protect her the way a son protects the vulnerable. Watch over her and her child. Let this be the good you do with all the power you have gathered. Let it quiet the storm I see in your eyes. The recording ended. Silence rushed back in, heavier than before. I replayed it twice more, each word carving deeper. Guilt exploded into something sharper. Remorse for every late night I had spent building the empire instead of sitting at her bedside. Regret for the blood that had bought our safety. Fury at myself for the isolation I had chosen. And beneath it all, that burning affection from the memorial flared hotter, more dangerous. Aaliyah, her thin frame, her chapped hands lighting incense, the soft, timid Mr. Kang that had trembled on her lips. I could not ignore a dying mother's wish. Filial piety was the one chain I had never broken. By morning, I had acted. My most trusted lieutenant received quiet orders, discreet security around Aaliyah Brooks and her son Malik in their South Los Angeles apartment. No contact, no explanation, just eyes on them at all times. I told myself it was duty, nothing more. But duty did not explain why I drove myself to Koreatown that afternoon, parking across from the nonprofit clinic where she worked part-time. I watched from the tinted window of my Bentley as she emerged, coat pulled tight against the December wind. She looked even thinner in daylight, cheeks hollow, shoulders hunched against the cold, a plastic grocery bag cutting into her wrist because she could not afford better. Her exhaustion was visible in every slow step, the way she paused to catch her breath on the sidewalk. Then cruelty struck, sudden and irrational. 2 men from a local crew, low-level predators who preyed on the vulnerable, approached her near the bus stop. I recognized them instantly, runners for a rival faction pushing into my territory. They blocked her path, voices loud, demanding bus fare with smirks that promised worse if she refused. Aaliyah shrank back, fear flashing across her face, hands trembling as she clutched her bag. Powerless, destitute, the sight ignited something savage in me. I was out of the car before conscious thought. The street confrontation was swift, tense. My presence alone shifted the air. They recognized me. Faces paled, words died. One muttered an excuse, the other backed away, hands raised. No blows, just the weight of my reputation and the promise in my eyes. They vanished around the corner. Aaliyah stared at me, eyes wide with shock and confusion. Her breathing came shallow, body swaying as disorientation hit, dread giving way to dizzy numbness. "Mr. King, why?" Her voice was soft, restrained, timid, respectful towards someone so much older, so impossibly powerful. I saw the humiliation in her lowered gaze, the shame of being rescued like a child, the fear that protection always came with strings. "You dropped something," I lied gently, handing back a coupon flyer that had fluttered from her bag. My fingers brushed hers, cold, calloused, trembling. The contact sent fire through me. She murmured a thank you, barely audible, then hurried toward the bus, coat flapping in the wind. I watched until she boarded, heart pounding with that overwhelming surge. Love, fierce, immediate, passionate, tore through every defense I had built. It was absurd, dangerous, yet undeniable. That evening, back in the empty mansion, I stood before my mother's small altar in the study, her portrait, fresh fruit, a stick of incense curling smoke. The inner turmoil raged harder than ever. Guilt for the life I led, remorse for the loneliness I deserved, and now this burning need to shield a woman who embodied every injustice I could not fix with money alone. I bowed deeply, whispering in Korean, "I will protect her, Oma, even if it destroys me." Outside, the ocean roared against the cliffs, echoing the storm inside my fractured heart. The days blurred into a gray haze of routine and torment. I told myself I was honoring my mother's wish, nothing more. My men watched Aaliyah from a distance. Unmarked cars parked a block from her crumbling South Los Angeles apartment, discreet eyes on her bus routes, silent reports every evening. They never approached. They never needed to. She was safe because I willed it so. Yet the reports began to paint a picture that gnawed at me worse than any rival's threat. She worked double shifts at the nonprofit clinic, 8 hours of patient care, then 4 more cleaning offices after hours. She walked home most nights because the bus fare was a luxury. Her 6-year-old son, Malik, had been hospitalized twice in the past month for asthma attacks that left him gasping on the cracked linoleum floor. The landlord had raised the rent again, and the eviction notice was taped to her door like a death sentence. She skipped meals to pay for his inhalers. She shivered in a coat too thin for December winds. Every detail was a fresh wound in my chest, a reminder of the brutal chasm between my world and hers. I had everything: private jets, Michelin-starred dinners, security teams who moved like ghosts. She had nothing but exhaustion and quiet dignity. The contrast was cruel, irrational, a cosmic joke that fate kept playing on repeat. Each report fed the fire inside me. Guilt for the empire I had built on shadows, remorse for the years I spent chasing power instead of peace, and now this burning, ferocious need to shield her from a world that seemed determined to crush her. I tried to stay away. I failed. 2 weeks after the memorial, I found myself driving through South LA at midnight. The streets were empty, except for the occasional patrol car and the wind that rattled chain-link fences. I parked a block from her building, a 3-story walk-up with peeling paint and broken windows. From the driver's seat of my black Range Rover, I watched her light flicker on in the 3rd-floor window, the only sign of life in the entire block. She was home. Safe. That should have been enough. It wasn't. The next evening, my phone buzzed with an urgent message from my second-in-command. Aaliyah had slipped their watch. She had left her apartment after dark, alone, on foot. The men had lost her in the crowd at a Koreatown street festival near the clinic. Panic surged through me, sharp, violent, almost nauseating. I was in the car within minutes, driving faster than I should have, the city lights blurring past. I found her in a private noraebang on the edge of Koreatown, the kind of place that rented tiny soundproof rooms by the hour. She had gone with 2 friends, fellow aides from the clinic, seeking one night of escape. I could see her through the frosted glass of the room's window. Sitting on a worn velvet couch, a half-empty bottle of soju on the table, singing softly to a ballad I recognized from my mother's old playlists. Her coat was draped over the back of the couch, revealing a thin sweater that hung off her shoulders like a flag of surrender. She looked fragile, almost childlike, exhausted, tipsy, but smiling for the first time I had ever seen. I should have left then. I should have let her have this one small rebellion. Instead, I stepped inside. The room went quiet when I entered. Her friends froze, eyes wide. Aaliyah turned, her smile vanishing into shock. The soju bottle slipped from her fingers and rolled across the floor. She stared at me, dread pooling in her dark eyes, then confusion, then a flicker of fear. "Mr. Kang," she whispered, voice soft and trembling, respectful even in her panic. How did you know I was here?" I didn't answer. My heart was hammering too hard. The sight of her, tipsy, vulnerable, surrounded by cheap neon lights and fake leather, ignited something primal in me. Love, fierce and immediate, roared through my veins like wildfire. It was absurd. It was dangerous. It was undeniable. "You shouldn't be here," I said quietly. "Not alone. Not tonight." Her friends exchanged glances, unsure whether to stay or flee. One of them, older, cautious, stood. "We'll wait outside," she said, ushering the other woman out. The door clicked shut. Aaliyah rose unsteadily, swaying on her feet. She looked small against the backdrop of flashing karaoke screens. "I just needed one night. One night where I wasn't thinking about bills or Malik's breathing or the landlord knocking again. I'm sorry if I caused trouble." Her voice cracked on the last word. She looked down, humiliated, as if begging for forgiveness from someone who had no right to judge her. I stepped closer. "You didn't cause trouble. You just made me worry." Her eyes lifted, searching mine. "Why do you care?" The question hung between us, raw and honest. I didn't have an answer, not one I could speak aloud. Instead, I said, "Because my mother asked me to." She blinked, confusion deepening. She talked about me? Every day in the end. My voice was rough. "She said you were kind when no one else was." Aaliyah's lip trembled. Tears welled, then spilled over. She wiped them away quickly, embarrassed. "I didn't do anything special. I just sat with her, held her hand." That was everything. Silence stretched. The karaoke screen looped the song she had been singing, something soft and sad. She swayed again, dizzy from the soju and the exhaustion and the weight of the moment. I reached out instinctively, steadying her elbow. Her skin was cold. She flinched at first, then stilled, letting me hold her upright. "I should go," she whispered. "Malik is with a neighbor. He'll be worried if I'm late." I nodded. "I'll drive you." She shook her head. "I can take the bus. It's late, it's cold, and there are people out there who don't like me very much." Her eyes widened, fear flashing again. "What kind of people?" "People who think they can take what doesn't belong to them." She swallowed hard. "I don't belong to anyone." The words hit me like a slap. I released her elbow, stepping back. "I know." We stood there, inches apart, the air thick with unspoken things. Then, outside, raised voices, Korean, sharp, angry. I recognized the cadence immediately. Rival crew. They had followed me here, bold enough to confront me on neutral ground, drunk on bravado and soju. I moved to the door. "Stay here." Aaliyah grabbed my sleeve, her fingers trembling. "Don't, please." I looked down at her hand, then at her face. Terror and concern warred in her eyes. She was afraid for me. Me, the man who had spent decades making others afraid. "I'll be fine," I said softly. I stepped outside. The hallway was narrow, lit by flickering fluorescence. 4 men waited, low-level enforcers from a faction that had been testing my borders for months. They straightened when they saw me, smirking. "Mr. Kang," the leader drawled. "Didn't know you liked to slum it in Norebang." I didn't answer, I just waited. One of them stepped forward, bold. "Heard you've been playing guardian angel lately. Thought we'd see for ourselves." The tension was electric. My men were 2 floors down, but I didn't need them, not yet. "Walk away," I said quietly. "Tonight." The leader laughed, nervous, forced. "Or what?" I took one step. That was all it took. The air shifted, their bravado cracked. The leader's smirk faltered. They backed up slowly, then turned and hurried down the stairs. I returned to the room. Aaliyah was sitting on the couch, knees drawn up, face pale. She looked up as I entered, relief flooding her features. "They're gone," I said. She exhaled shakily. "Thank you." I sat beside her, careful not to touch her, though every fiber of me wanted to. "You don't have to thank me." She studied me for a long moment. "Why do you keep helping me?" I could have lied. I could have said it was duty. Instead, I told the truth, soft, almost broken. "Because you make me want to be better." Her breath caught. She looked away, tears glistening again. "I'm not someone who can make anyone better. I can barely keep myself together." "You're stronger than you know." She shook her head. "I'm just tired, Mr. Kang. I'm so tired." The words were simple, but they tore through me. I wanted to pull her into my arms, to shield her from the cold, the hunger, the endless grind of survival. But I didn't, not yet. Instead, I stood. "Let me drive you home." She hesitated, then nodded. The drive was quiet. She sat in the passenger seat, coat pulled tight around her, staring out at the city lights. I could feel her exhaustion radiating off her in waves. Emotional numbness, physical pain, the slow unraveling of someone who had carried too much for too long. When we reached her building, I parked and walked her to the door. The wind was bitter. She shivered. "Thank you," she said again, voice small, "for everything." I nodded. "Get some rest." She turned to go, then paused. "Mr. Kang?" "Yes?" Her eyes met mine, curious, fearful, hopeful. "You don't have to keep doing this. I'll be okay." I smiled, sad, knowing. "I know you will, but I'm not." She frowned, confused. I stepped back. "Good night, Aaliyah." She disappeared into the building. I stood there until the light in her window came on. Back in the car, I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. The inner storm raged harder than ever. Guilt, remorse, longing, love so fierce it felt like violence. I had spent my life controlling everything. Now, one fragile woman had slipped past every defense, and I was helpless against the tide. I drove home alone, the city lights blurring through the windshield, my heart a burning, fractured thing. The night after the Norebang, I could not sleep. I paced the glass-walled living room of my mansion until dawn, the ocean below crashing against the cliffs like the chaos inside my chest. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Aaliyah's face, pale, swaying, tears glistening in the neon light. I heard her soft, timid voice asking why I cared. I felt the cold of her skin under my fingers when I steadied her. The burning love had become a torment. It was no longer a quiet flame. It was a wildfire, consuming reason, scorching every wall I had built around my heart. Guilt roared louder than ever. Guilt for the life I led, remorse for the blood that had bought my power, and now a new, violent remorse for wanting her so fiercely when I had no right. I was 50 years old, a man whose hands were stained, even if they were clean of direct violence these days. She was 25, a single mother fighting for every breath her child took. The gap between us was not just wealth and poverty, it was an entire universe of injustice. Yet my mother's voice echoed in my skull, "Protect her." So I did. My men reported that Aaliyah had returned to her routine, clinic shifts, night classes in nursing, walking Malik to school in shoes with holes in the soles. But the reports also carried darker notes. The same rival faction that had tested me at the Norebang was growing bolder. They were shaking down small businesses on the edges of Koreatown, and their runners had been seen near the bus stops Aaliyah used. Coincidence, perhaps, or a message meant for me. I told myself I was being paranoid, I told myself to stay away. I lasted 3 days. On the 4th night, the call came just after midnight. One of my watchers, she's in trouble. Corner of Wilshire and Western. 3 guys from the park crew. They've got her cornered outside the late-night pharmacy. I was in the car before he finished the sentence. The drive from Palos Verdes to Koreatown took 27 minutes at legal speed. I made it in 16. The city was a blur of red lights and wet pavement. December rain had started, cold and relentless. I found them under the awning of a closed CVS. Aaliyah stood with her back against the brick wall, clutching a small plastic bag of Malik's prescription inhalers. 3 men circled her, young, cocky, wearing the colors of Park Taeho's crew. One held an umbrella, the others let the rain soak them, as if it proved their toughness. They were laughing, low and ugly, demanding a toll for walking through their streets. Aaliyah's face was ashen. Rain plastered her thin coat to her body, revealing how painfully thin she had become. Ribs visible beneath the fabric, collarbones sharp as blades. Her eyes were wide with terror, but her chin was lifted in that quiet defiance I had come to recognize. She was powerless, destitute, yet refusing to beg. I parked at the curb and stepped out. The rain hit me instantly, cold needles against my skin. I was wearing only a black cashmere sweater and slacks, no coat, no weapon visible. I didn't need one. The 3 men turned. Recognition flickered, then unease. "Mr. Kang," the tallest one said, trying for bravado. "Just having a conversation." I didn't speak. I walked forward until I stood between them and Aaliyah. The rain drummed on the awning above us. "Conversation's over," I said quietly. The leader smirked. "We're just collecting what's owed. Girl's been walking through our territory a lot lately." Aaliyah made a small sound behind me. Fear, shame, exhaustion. I felt it like a knife in my ribs. "She's under my protection," I said. My voice was calm, but inside I was raging. A violent storm of possessiveness and fury. "You touch her, you answer to me." The second man shifted, rain dripping from his hood. "Heard you've gone soft, Kang. Playing hero for strays." The words ignited something feral. I took one step. That was enough. The leader's smirk vanished. They backed up, muttering excuses, disappearing into the rain-slicked street. I turned to Aaliyah. She was shaking, whether from cold, fear, or both, I couldn't tell. Her lips were blue. Water streamed down her face, mixing with tears she was trying not to shed. The plastic bag had torn. One inhaler lay on the wet pavement. I picked it up, wiped it on my sleeve, and handed it to her. "Thank you," she whispered, voice barely audible over the rain. So soft, so restrained, so heartbreakingly respectful. "You're freezing," I said. She tried to smile, failed. "I'm okay, I needed Malik's medicine. The pharmacy was closing." I took off my sweater, cashmere, worth more than her monthly rent, and draped it over her shoulders. It swallowed her, hanging to her knees. She clutched the edges, eyes wide with shock and confusion. "Mr. Kang, I can't." "You can." She swayed. Dizziness hit her hard. Too little food, too much fear, too much cold. I caught her before she fell, one arm around her waist. She was light as a child, bones sharp under my hand. The contact sent fire through me, even in the freezing rain. "I've got you," I murmured. Her breath hitched. She looked up at me, eyes searching, fearful, curious. "Why are you doing this?" I couldn't answer, not with words. Instead, I guided her to the passenger side of the Range Rover, opened the door, helped her in. She sat there shivering, clutching my sweater like a lifeline. I drove slowly through the rain, heater on full. She was silent at first, staring out the window. Then, softly, "Those men, they've been around before, not just tonight. They follow me sometimes, ask for money I don't have." Rage surged, hot, violent. I gripped the wheel tighter. "They won't anymore," she turned to me. "How can you promise that?" "Because I'm telling them not to." She laughed, small, broken. "You can't control everything, Mr. Kang." "I can control this." Silence again. The rain eased as we entered South LA. Her building loomed ahead, lights flickering, graffiti on the walls, the smell of damp concrete. I parked. She started to remove the sweater. "Keep it," I said. "I can't. It's too expensive." "I have others." She hesitated, then pulled it tighter around herself. "Malik's with the neighbor. I should—" "I'll walk you up." We crossed the cracked sidewalk. The lobby light was out. I used my phone flashlight. The stairs smelled of mildew and old cooking. On the third floor, she unlocked her door with trembling fingers. Inside was worse than I had imagined. One room, really, a studio with a sagging couch that doubled as her bed, a small mattress on the floor for Malik. The kitchenette had a hot plate and a mini fridge that hummed too loudly. A single bulb overhead cast harsh light on peeling wallpaper. The heat was barely working. I could see my breath. Malik was asleep on the mattress, curled under a thin blanket, his small chest rising and falling with the faint wheeze of asthma. Aaliyah knelt beside him, touching his forehead gently. Relief softened her face. "He's okay," she whispered. I stood in the doorway, feeling like an intruder in my own skin. The contrast was unbearable. My mansion with its heated floors and ocean views, and this cold, dim cage where she fought every day to keep her child alive. She stood, facing me. "You shouldn't be here. It's not safe for you. I'm not the one in danger." Her eyes filled again. "You don't understand. People talk. If they see you here, let them talk." She shook her head. "You're important, powerful. I'm just nobody." The words tore through me. I stepped closer, slowly, carefully. "You're not nobody. Not to me." Her breath caught. Shock widened her eyes. Confusion followed, then something softer. Curiosity, perhaps hope. She swayed again, exhaustion and emotion overwhelming her. I caught her arms. "Sit." She sank onto the couch. I knelt in front of her, me, Minjun Kang, on my knees in a crumbling apartment. The absurdity should have broken me. Instead, it anchored me. "I'll have groceries delivered tomorrow," I said, "and someone to fix the heat." She shook her head fiercely. "I can't pay for that." "I'm not asking you to." Tears spilled over. "Why? Why are you being kind to me?" I reached out, brushed a tear from her cheek with my thumb. Her skin was ice cold. "Because you were kind to my mother when she needed it most, and because—" I stopped. I couldn't say it yet. She searched my face. "Because what?" I stood. "Get some rest. I'll have someone outside tonight, just in case." She rose too quickly, dizzy again. I steadied her. For a moment, we stood inches apart, her breathing shallow, mine ragged. The air between us crackled, then she whispered, "Good night, Mr. Kang." "Good night, Aaliyah." I left before I did something irreversible. Outside, the rain had stopped. I stood on the sidewalk, staring up at her window until the light went out. The inner storm was no longer a storm, it was a cataclysm. Guilt, remorse, longing, love, all fused into one violent, tearing force. I had spent my life taking. Tonight, for the first time, I wanted only to give. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that I would burn the world down before I let anyone hurt her again. I did not go home that night. After leaving Aaliyah's building, I drove aimlessly through the empty streets of Los Angeles until the sky began to pale in the east. The rain had stopped, leaving the city slick and shining under the first weak light of dawn. I ended up parked on a bluff in Palos Verdes, staring at the gray Pacific as it rolled in endless, indifferent waves. My sweater was gone, left wrapped around her fragile shoulders. The chill seeped through my dress shirt, but I welcomed it. Physical discomfort was easier to bear than the violent storm inside my chest. Guilt, remorse, longing, and that fierce, burning love had fused into something unbearable. I had spent decades mastering control, over men, over money, over every threat that dared rise against me. Yet one impoverished woman, one soft "thank you," spoken in a trembling voice, had shattered it all. I replayed every moment in her apartment. The single bare bulb, the wheezing child on the floor mattress, the way she had knelt to check his fever with hands that shook from hunger and cold. The contrast between her world and mine was obscene. While I slept on Egyptian cotton sheets in a temperature-controlled mansion, she fought hypothermia on a sagging couch. While private chefs prepared Wagyu and fresh seafood for me, she rationed cereal and canned beans. The injustice of it clawed at me. Irrational, cruel fate that had placed her at the edge of survival and me at the pinnacle of excess. And still, I wanted her. Not just to protect her, I wanted her in ways that terrified me. Body, soul, future. The thought alone filled me with violent self-loathing. I was too old, too stained, too dangerous. She deserved light, not the shadows I carried. Dawn fully broke as I finally drove back to the mansion. I showered, changed into fresh clothes, and had my driver prepare the Range Rover again. By 7 o'clock, I was on my way back to South LA, a bag of handbang remedies and pediatric supplements on the passenger seat. Things my mother had sworn by for respiratory issues. I told myself it was practical, nothing more. When I arrived at her building, the morning was bitterly cold. Frost edged the broken windows of abandoned cars along the curb. I climbed the familiar stairs, the smell of mildew stronger in the daylight. I knocked softly. The door opened a crack. Aaliyah peered out, eyes red-rimmed from sleeplessness, hair pulled back in a tired ponytail. She wore my cashmere sweater still. It hung to mid-thigh, sleeves rolled multiple times. Seeing it on her sent a jolt through me, possessive and tender at once. "Mr. Kang," she whispered, voice hoarse. Shock widened her eyes. What are you doing here?" "I brought something for Malik." I held up the bag. She hesitated, then opened the door wider. The apartment looked even more heartbreaking in morning light. Dishes piled in the sink, a single space heater humming uselessly in the corner. Eviction notice still taped to the inside of the door. Malik was awake now, sitting on the couch wrapped in a blanket, watching cartoons on a cracked tablet. He looked up when I entered, curious but wary. Aaliyah took the bag with trembling hands. "You didn't have to." "How is he?" I asked. She glanced at the boy. "Better. The inhaler helped, but the fever came back in the night." I knelt beside Malik, me, on the worn carpet of a welfare apartment. "Hey, buddy, I brought some medicine that might help your breathing." He studied me solemnly, then nodded. Aaliyah unpacked the remedies, eyes filling with tears she tried to hide. "These are expensive. I can't." "They're a gift," I said quietly, "from my mother's recipes." She bit her lip, turning away to hide her face. Humiliation, gratitude, confusion, all warring inside her. I saw it in the set of her shoulders, the way she clutched the counter for balance. I stood. "I'll have a doctor come by later today, a good one." Her head snapped around. "No, please, I already owe the clinic too much. If they see a private doctor..." "I'll handle it discreetly." She shook her head, voice breaking. "You don't understand. People will talk. They'll think I'm selling something to get favors." The words hit like a punch. I stepped closer. "Let them think what they want. I know the truth." Her breathing quickened, panic rising. She swayed, dizziness overtaking her again. I caught her elbows gently. "Sit," I said. She sank onto a kitchen chair, head in her hands. "I'm sorry. I haven't eaten since yesterday morning. Everything feels far away." Rage surged through me, not at her, but at the world that had brought her to this. I opened her nearly empty fridge, found half a loaf of stale bread, made toast on the hot plate. She watched me with stunned disbelief, a man in a $5,000 suit making breakfast in her crumbling kitchen. "Eat," I said, setting the plate in front of her. She obeyed slowly, tears falling onto the toast. No one's ever, not since my mama died. The confession broke something in me. I sat across from her, watching her eat like it was the most important thing I had ever witnessed. After a few bites, color returned to her cheeks. She looked up. "Why are you really doing this?" I met her gaze, because I can't not do it. Her eyes searched mine, curious now, beneath the fear. "Your mother, she really talked about me. Every time I visited, she said you had kind eyes. that you made her feel less alone. Aaliyah's lip trembled. I was just doing my job. You were doing more than that. Silence stretched, heavy with unspoken things. Malik padded over, climbing into her lap. She held him tightly, as if afraid he might vanish. Outside, tires screeched, raised voices, Korean mixed with English. I moved to the window. Down on the street, 2 cars had pulled up. Parks men again, 4 this time, bolder in daylight. They were harassing the building super, demanding names of tenants behind on rent. Looking for leverage, looking for her. My blood turned to ice, then fire. "Stay here," I told Aaliyah. She grabbed my arm, fingers desperate. "Don't go down there, please." "I have to." I descended the stairs quickly. The cold morning air hit me as I stepped outside. The 4 men turned, smirks fading when they saw me. "Kang," the leader said. "Funny finding you in this neighborhood." I didn't waste words. "You're done here." One laughed. "We're just collecting debts. Girl on the 3rd floor, Brooks, she owes back rent. Landlord hired us." Lies. I knew the landlord. He was under my protection. This was a message, a provocation. "Leave," I said. My voice was low, lethal calm. The leader stepped forward, chest puffed. "Or what? You gonna play white knight forever?" Suspense crackled. Neighbors watched from windows. I felt Aaliyah's gaze from above, fearful, pleading. I took one step. The air shifted. They backed away, muttering threats they wouldn't keep today. Cars peeled out. I returned upstairs. Aaliyah stood at the door, Malik hidden behind her legs. Her face was pale, body trembling. "They're gone," I said. She exhaled shakily. "How long can you keep doing this?" "As long as it takes." She looked at me then, really looked. Confusion, fear, and something new, a flicker of trust. "You're going to get hurt, or I am. This can't end well." I stepped closer, careful not to crowd her. "It ends with you safe. That's all that matters." Her eyes filled again. "Why me?" I reached out, tucked a stray curl behind her ear. My thumb brushed her cheek, soft, deliberate. "Because you're worth it." Shock widened her eyes. Her breath caught. For a moment, the world narrowed to just us. The cold apartment fading, the danger outside irrelevant. Then Malik tugged her hand. Reality rushed back. "I have to get him to school," she whispered. "I'll drive you." She started to protest, then stopped. Exhaustion won. "Okay." We left the apartment together, me carrying Malik's backpack, her clutching my arm for balance on the icy stairs. In the Range Rover, heat blasting, she sat beside me in my sweater, looking small and lost and impossibly precious. As I drove through morning traffic, I glanced at her. She was staring at my profile, curiosity overtaking fear. "You're not what I expected," she said softly. I smiled, sad, knowing. "Neither are you." The inner turmoil reached a new peak. Love so fierce it hurt, remorse for the danger I brought her, determination to shield her at any cost. I was fracturing, piece by piece, under the weight of it all. But for the first time in decades, the loneliness felt bearable. Because she was beside me. The days that followed blurred into a pattern I both craved and dreaded. I told myself it was temporary, only until Malik's health stabilized, only until the rival threats eased. But each morning, I found another reason to drive to South LA. A specialist appointment I had arranged. Groceries delivered anonymously that she refused to accept without thanks. A new lock for her door after the landlord lost the key. Aaliyah fought me at first, softly, timidly, always respectful. "Mr. King, I can't keep taking from you. This is too much. People will talk." Her voice never rose, but the fear in her eyes was sharp. Fear of obligation, fear of rumors, fear that kindness always came with a price she could not pay. I overrode every protest, not with anger, never that, but with quiet, unyielding certainty. My wealth and power, tools I had used for decades to bend the world to my will, now served one purpose: to shield her from the cruelty that had battered her for years. The contrast between our lives grew starker with every visit. I arrived in tailored suits and a heated luxury vehicle. She greeted me in the same threadbare coat, cheeks hollow from skipped meals. My phone buzzed with multi-million-dollar deals. Hers rang with collection agencies demanding payments she did not have. I slept in a king-size bed with ocean views. She dozed upright on the couch so Malik could have the mattress, waking every hour to check his breathing. Yet in those forced hours together, drives to the pediatric pulmonologist in Beverly Hills, waits in pristine lobbies she had never entered before, something shifted. Suspicion softened into cautious curiosity. Fear eased into fragile trust. And for me, the burning love deepened into an ache that lived under my ribs, constant and unrelenting. One crisp December morning, Malik had an early appointment with the specialist I had flown in from Seoul, an expert in pediatric asthma who owed me favors from the old days. Aaliyah had protested the cost, tears in her eyes, until I told her the doctor was doing it as a personal favor to my late mother's memory. She accepted then, voice trembling with gratitude she could not express. I drove them myself. Malik sat in the back, wide-eyed at the leather seats and heated cushions. Aaliyah beside me, wearing a new coat I had left anonymously on her doorstep. Simple, warm wool. She had tried to return it once. I refused. The drive took us through neighborhoods she rarely saw, from the cracked sidewalks and barred windows of South LA, past downtown's gleaming skyscrapers, into the manicured streets of Beverly Hills. She stared out the window, quiet, fingers twisting in her lap. "You okay?" I asked softly. She nodded, then shook her head. "It's just overwhelming, all this." Her voice was restrained, almost a whisper. "I've never been this far west. Never thought I would." I glanced at her. "You deserve to be anywhere you want." She laughed, small, disbelieving. "People like me don't get to choose." The words cut deep. I wanted to tell her she could choose now, that I would give her the world if she let me. But I stayed silent, grip tightening on the wheel. At the clinic, the staff treated us like royalty because they knew who I was. Aaliyah noticed. Her unease grew, head lowered, shoulders hunched, as if trying to make herself smaller. In the waiting room, she sat apart from the other patients in designer clothes, clutching Malik's hand. When the doctor emerged, a kind-faced woman in her 60s, she greeted me in Korean, bowing slightly. Aaliyah's eyes widened, curiosity flickering. After the examination, Malik's lungs clearer, new treatment plan in hand, we walked back to the car. Aaliyah was quiet, processing. "Thank you," she said finally, voice thick. "He's breathing better already. I don't know how to repay." "You don't," I said. She stopped on the sidewalk, looking up at me. Sunlight caught the exhaustion in her face, but also something new, hope. "You keep saying that, but nothing's free, Mr. Kang." I met her gaze. "This is." Her breath caught. For a moment, the busy street faded, just us. Then tires screeched nearby. A black sedan pulled up aggressively at the curb, parksmen again, 3 this time, stepping out with false confidence. They had followed us, bold, reckless. One approached, smirking. "Nice neighborhood, Kang. Bringing your charity case to the good side of town?" Aaliyah shrank back, pulling Malik behind her. Fear flashed across her face, dread, then dizziness as adrenaline surged on an empty stomach. I moved in front of them. "Get back in your car." The leader laughed. "Park says hello, says you're getting soft, distracted." Suspense hung thick. Pedestrians slowed, sensing trouble. My driver was parked across the street, watching. I took one step forward. "Tell Park if he wants to talk, he calls me directly, not through women and children." The man's smirk faltered. They hesitated, then retreated to their car, peeling away with unnecessary noise. Aaliyah was trembling. "They followed us. Because of me." "Because of me," I corrected gently. "Not you." She shook her head. "I'm putting you in danger." I opened the passenger door. "Get in. We're not done today." She obeyed, confusion deepening. Malik climbed in back, sensing the tension, but quiet. I drove north toward the coast, away from appointments, away from threats. "Where are we going?" she asked, voice small. "You'll see." We ended up in Palos Verdes, my territory, safe. I took them to a quiet park overlooking the ocean, manicured lawns, walking paths, the Pacific glittering below. Few people in winter. Malik ran ahead to the playground, his energy returning with the new meds. Aaliyah watched him, tears in her eyes. I led her to a bench. "Sit, breathe." She did, wrapping the new coat tighter. Wind whipped her hair. She looked small against the vast ocean view. "This is your world," she said softly. "Beautiful, peaceful." "It's just a view." She turned to me. "It's more than I've ever had." Silence stretched. Gulls cried overhead. Malik laughed on the swings. "I used to dream about places like this," she whispered, "when I was a girl. Thought if I studied hard, worked hard, I'd get here one day. But life, it doesn't work that way for everyone." Her voice cracked. The injustice of it, the cruel, absurd fate that had denied her so much, tore at me. I reached out, covered her cold hand with mine. "It can now." She stared at our hands, mine warm, steady, hers thin, trembling. Shock rippled through her, then fear, then something warmer. "Mr. Kang." "Min Jun," I said quietly, "when we're alone." She swallowed. "Min Jun." The name sounded reverent on her lips. "I don't understand you." I turned to face her fully. My mother came to this country with nothing. 2 suitcases and a baby, me. She worked 3 jobs, lived in places worse than yours, built everything from scratch. She taught me that power isn't for keeping, it's for lifting others. Aaliyah's eyes filled. She was strong. She saw that strength in you. A tear escaped. She wiped it away quickly, embarrassed. "I'm not strong, I'm just surviving. You're the strongest person I know." Her breath hitched. She looked at me, really looked. Curiosity overtook fear. "You're not what people say." "What do they say?" "That you're dangerous, cold, that no one crosses you." I smiled faintly. "Some of that's true, but not with me." "No," I admitted, "not with you." We sat in silence, watching Malik play. The sun warmed us slightly. For a moment, the weight lifted. Then her phone buzzed, an eviction notice text from the landlord. Final warning, 3 days. Her face crumpled. Despair crashed over her, numbing, dizzying. She swayed. I caught her before she slid off the bench. "I can't. I don't have—" "I'll handle it," I said. She pulled away, voice breaking. "I can't keep letting you fix everything. It's not right." Tears streamed now. Humiliation, exhaustion, fear, all pouring out. I cupped her face gently, thumbs wiping tears. "Let me." She searched my eyes. "Why?" The moment stretched. Wind gusted. Malik called from the playground, oblivious. I leaned closer, slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. "Because I care about you," I whispered. "More than I should." Her breath stopped. Shock widened her eyes. Confusion followed. Then, warmth. A flicker of reciprocation. But reality intruded. Malik running toward us, laughing. She pulled back, wiping her face. "We should go." I nodded, heart pounding. The drive home was quiet. She stared out the window, processing. When we reached her building, she turned to me. "Thank you for today, for everything." I wanted to say more. Instead, "I'll see you tomorrow." She hesitated, then nodded. That night, alone in the mansion, I stood at the window watching the ocean. The inner storm had become a hurricane, love so fierce it frightened me, remorse for the danger I brought, determination to rewrite her fate. I had forced proximity to protect her. Now it was forcing something else, truth, and I was no longer in control. The weeks leading to the family gathering passed in a fever of proximity and restraint. I saw Aaliyah almost daily now, drives to appointments, quiet meals I insisted on providing, Evenings where I lingered too long in her apartment, helping Malik with homework while she studied nursing textbooks under the single bulb. Each moment stretched the tension tighter, her soft thank yous, the brush of her fingers when passing a cup of tea, the way she began to lean into my presence rather than shrink from it. The burning love inside me had become a constant roar. It drowned out reason, amplified every pang of guilt, every surge of remorse for the danger I dragged behind me like a shadow. I was 50, powerful beyond measure, yet I felt like a boy, heart racing when she smiled, chest fracturing when she cried over another overdue bill. I wanted to give her everything, a warm home, security, a future without fear. But I held back, terrified that my touch would taint her light. The gathering was held at my flagship Koreatown restaurant, the one my mother had opened 40 years earlier with savings scraped from sewing jobs. We were honoring her with a traditional KBBQ feast and a small exhibition of hanboks she had collected over decades. Silk garments displayed on mannequins under soft lighting, lanterns glowing red and gold in the private garden out back. I invited Aaliyah as the caregiver who had meant so much to my mother. She hesitated for days, fearful of the crowd, of standing out, of what people would say about a poor black woman among Korean elite. But Malik's eyes lit up at the promise of unlimited grilled meat and games with other children, so she agreed. I sent a car for them. When they arrived, my breath caught. Aaliyah wore a simple black dress I had left anonymously, elegant, modest, fitting her thin frame perfectly. Her hair was pulled back softly, revealing the delicate lines of her face. She looked beautiful, fragile, and utterly out of place among the luxury cars and designer clothes. Malik held her hand tightly, wide-eyed at the opulence. I met them at the entrance. "You came," I said, voice rougher than intended. She nodded, timid smile flickering. "I couldn't say no to Malik, and I wanted to honor your mother." Her words warmed me more than the indoor heat. I guided them inside, my hand hovering at her back without touching. The main dining room was filled with family and associates, elders in traditional attire, younger generations in modern suits, laughter mingling with the sizzle of beef on tabletop grills. Banchan dishes covered every table: kimchi, seasoned spinach, pickled radish, scents of garlic and sesame oil thick in the air. Aaliyah shrank slightly under the curious glances. Whispers followed us. Who was she? Why was she here with MJ Kong himself? She kept her eyes down, voice soft when greeting elders with respectful bows she had practiced from videos. Malik, bless him, broke the ice, running to the children's table where other kids shared toys and candy. Aaliyah watched him anxiously until he waved happily. I led her to the hanbok display in the side hall. Silk robes shimmered under spotlights. Deep blues, vibrant reds, embroidered with cranes and flowers. She touched one sleeve reverently. "These are beautiful," she whispered. "Your mother had good taste. She would have liked seeing you here." Aaliyah's eyes misted. I wish I'd known her longer. We moved to the private garden afterward, a walled courtyard with paper lanterns swaying in the December breeze, stone paths lined with potted evergreens, a long table set for the family meal. Heat lamps glowed warmly, the air smelled of charcoal and marinated meat. I seated her beside me, bold, perhaps, but I could not bear distance tonight. Elders raised eyebrows but said nothing. My presence silenced questions. The meal began, servers bringing endless platters of galbi, bulgogi, samgyeopsal. Aaliyah ate slowly at first, hesitant, as if afraid to take too much. Then hunger won. She accepted seconds, eyes closing briefly in pleasure at flavors she rarely tasted. Malik sat across from us, cheeks bulging, laughing with cousins. Conversation flowed in Korean and English. Stories of my mother, her strength immigrating alone, her quiet pride in the business, her final months. Aaliyah listened intently, adding soft memories of bedside talks. Elders softened toward her, seeing the genuine respect in her voice. But tension simmered beneath. My phone buzzed twice, reports of Park's men circling the block, testing boundaries on this night of all nights. I ignored it until the third message, They were approaching the valet. I excused myself quietly. Aaliyah's eyes followed me, worry flickering. Outside, under the valet lights, 5 men loitered aggressively, Park's crew, emboldened by soju and orders. They blocked a guest car, demanding parking fees with smirks. I stepped into the light. Cold wind cut through my suit. "Leave," I said. The leader turned, false bravado. "Just visiting, Kang. Heard you're hosting a big party. Thought we'd join." Suspense thickened. Valets froze. Guests inside would notice soon. I advanced slowly. "Not tonight." One step forward, too close. "Park says you've gone soft. All this charity work." The insult ignited fury, but I held it, leashed, cold. My presence alone shifted the air. They hesitated, then backed away, muttering threats into the night. I returned to the garden. Aaliyah stood at the door, face pale. Was it them again? "It's handled." She searched my eyes, fear deepening into something protective. "You can't keep fighting them for me." "I'm not fighting for you," I said softly. "I'm fighting because they're wrong." We returned to the table. Dessert followed, sweet rice cakes, fresh fruit. Malik fell asleep against her side. The elders began to leave, bowing respectfully. Soon, only a few remained. Lanterns glowed brighter in the dark. I led Aaliyah to the far end of the garden, away from prying eyes, under a canopy of string lights and bare branches. A stone bench overlooked a small koi pond, frozen lightly at the edges. She sat, wrapping her arms around herself despite the heat lamps. "This place, it's like a dream." I sat beside her, close but not touching. It was my mother's favorite spot. She used to sit here and plan the future. Aaliyah turned to me. Moonlight caught the tears in her eyes. "I keep waiting to wake up, for someone to tell me I don't belong. You belong wherever I am." The words escaped before I could stop them. Her breath caught. Shock widened her eyes. "Min-jun." I turned fully, taking her cold hands in mine. "I can't pretend anymore. Every day with you, every moment, it's tearing me apart. I've spent my life alone, building walls. You walked through them without trying." Her lips parted, confusion, fear, then wonder. "But I have nothing. I'm nobody. You're everything." Tears spilled. She swayed, dizziness from emotion, from the weight of it all. I cupped her face gently, thumbs wiping tears. "I'm scared," she whispered. "Scared this is a dream. Scared of what people will say. Scared of needing you this much." "I'm scared too," I admitted, voice rough. "Scared I'll fail you. Scared I don't deserve you." She searched my face, curiosity burning bright now. "You deserve someone better, someone who matches your world." "No one matches my world like you do." The space between us vanished. I leaned in, slowly, giving her every chance to pull away. She didn't. Our lips met, soft at first, tentative, then hunger exploded. She kissed me back with desperate fervor, hands fisting my jacket, pulling me closer. Years of loneliness, of survival, poured into that kiss. My arms wrapped around her, lifting her slightly as I deepened it. Heat lamps warmed us, but the fire was inside, passionate, consuming. We broke apart gasping. Her eyes were wide, lips swollen, shock, joy, fear, all swirling. "I've wanted that since the first night," I confessed against her forehead. "Me too," she whispered, voice trembling. But I was afraid to hope. I kissed her again, slower, reverent. Hands gentle on her thin frame, careful of her fragility. She melted into me, trust finally winning over fear. Inside, a door opened. Voices approaching. We separated quickly, but hands remained linked. Malik's small voice called from the doorway. Reality returned. Aaliyah stood, wiping her face. "We should go." I nodded, heart pounding. "I'll drive you." The drive home was charged silence, hands brushing on the console, stolen glances. When we reached her building, I walked them up. At the door, she turned. Tonight was magical. I touched her cheek. "It's only beginning." She leaned into my hand, brief, tender, then disappeared inside. I stood in the hallway long after the light went out. The inner storm had transformed, Love no longer burning alone. It was shared now, fierce and mutual. Guilt remained, for the danger ahead, for the worlds colliding. But for the first time, hope flickered brighter than remorse. I drove home under stars, fractured heart finally beginning to mend. The kiss in the garden changed everything and nothing at once. We did not speak of it the next day. I drove them home as usual. Malik asleep in the back, Aaliyah silent beside me, fingers twisting in her lap. When we reached her building, she turned to me with eyes full of questions and fear, and something that mirrored the fire in my chest. I wanted to pull her across the console, claim her mouth again, erase the distance. Instead, I only touched her hand briefly, electric, promising. "Good night, Minjun," she whispered, voice trembling with new intimacy. "Good night, Aaliyah." She fled upstairs. I sat in the car long after her light went out, heart thundering, the taste of her still on my lips. The secret began immediately. I could not stay away. The following evening, I returned with groceries and a prepaid phone. "For emergencies," I said. She let me in without protest. Malik was already asleep. We stood in the dim kitchenette, inches apart, air thick with unspoken need. "I haven't stopped thinking about last night," I said quietly. Her breath caught. "Me neither." I stepped closer. She did not retreat. My hands found her waist, gentle, careful of her thinness. She rose on her toes and we kissed again, slower this time, deeper, hungrier. Her fingers tangled in my hair, mine slid up her back, feeling every ridge of her spine through the worn fabric. The contrast tore at me, her fragility against my strength, her poverty against my wealth. I wanted to wrap her in everything I owned, shield her from every cold wind that had ever bitten her skin. We broke apart gasping, her eyes were wide, cheeks flushed. "We shouldn't," she whispered, even as her hands clung to my jacket. "We already are." That night, I left before dawn, kissing her one last time at the door, promising to return. The affair ignited like dry tinder. I bought a secluded condo in Koreatown, quiet building, private elevator, views of the city lights. "Neutral ground," I told her. "Safe." She came the first time with trembling hesitation. Malik left with a trusted sitter I paid generously. I met her at the door, pulled her inside, and we did not make it past the entryway before kissing desperately against the wall. Clothes fell away slowly, reverent, as if unwrapping something sacred. Her body was heartbreaking, ribs visible, skin marked by old bruises from exhaustion and cold, breasts small from years of not enough food. I kissed every inch, worshiping, apologizing with my lips for the world that had starved her. She cried softly, not from pain, but from being touched with tenderness she had never known. We made love on the wide leather couch overlooking the skyline. Slow, intense, consuming. She clung to me, whispering my name like a prayer. I held her as if she might vanish, pouring decades of loneliness into every thrust, every caress. When she came apart in my arms, tears streaming, I followed, shattered, remade. Afterward, we lay tangled under a cashmere blanket, her head on my chest. "I've never felt like this," she whispered. "Neither have I." She traced patterns on my skin. "Your world is so big, mine is so small." I kissed her forehead. "Not anymore." We met there whenever we could. Stolen nights, hurried afternoons when Malik was at school. I stocked the condo with everything she needed. Warm clothes in her size, foods she loved but could rarely afford, books for her nursing studies. She protested at first, timid, respectful. "This is too much." But I saw the relief in her eyes when she ate a full meal without rationing, when she showered in endless hot water instead of timed minutes. The passion grew fiercer. Some nights gentle and slow, mapping each other's bodies with reverent hands. Others urgent, almost frantic, against the shower glass, on the kitchen counter, her back arched over the balcony rail with the city sparkling below. She learned quickly what pleased me. I memorized every sound she made, every tremble, but secrecy extracted its price. Rumors began. My lieutenants noticed my absences, the new condo on the books. Park's men grew bolder, tailings, vague threats scrawled on my car windshield. One afternoon, as I left the condo, two confronted me in the underground garage. "Playing house, Kang?" one sneered. "Park says you're losing focus." I stepped close, cold, controlled. Tell Park to mind his business. They backed off, but the message was clear. Weakness perceived. That evening, I took Aaliyah to the condo early. Malik had a sleepover. We barely spoke before falling into bed, passion edged with desperation. Afterward, lying in the dark, she traced the tension in my jaw. They're getting worse, aren't they? Because of me. I pulled her closer. They've always been there. But now, I'm a target. I kissed her fiercely. No one touches you. She buried her face in my neck. I'm scared. Not for me, for Malik. For you. Her fear tore at me. Guilt surged, violent, numbing. I was dragging her deeper into my shadows, yet I could not let go. One night, disaster struck closer. Aaliyah called me in tears. Power cut off in her apartment for unpaid bills she thought she had covered. Cold December wind howled through cracked windows, Malik coughing in the background. I was there in 20 minutes, paying the utility truck driver extra to restore it immediately. But when we returned upstairs, the door was ajar. Someone had been inside, drawers ransacked, eviction notice shredded on the floor, a clear threat carved into the wall. Leave. Aaliyah collapsed against me, dizzy, numb with terror. They know where I live. I held her tightly, rage boiling. You're not staying here tonight. She didn't argue. I took them to the Palos Verdes mansion for the first time. Malik's eyes went wide at the gates, the long drive, the ocean view. Aaliyah silent, overwhelmed, fear, awe, humiliation at seeing my true wealth. I gave them guest rooms, but she came to mind in the night, slipping under the covers, body cold from fear. We made love quietly, desperately, her tears wetting my shoulder, my hands gentle on her trembling frame. I can't go back, she whispered afterward. You won't. I moved them into the condo permanently the next week. Furniture delivered. Malik enrolled in a better school under discreet protection. She protested weakly, still timid about accepting so much. But relief won. Our nights became domestic and passionate, cooking simple meals together, helping Malik with homework, then falling into bed exhausted and insatiable. She gained weight slowly, cheeks filling, body softening under my hands. I watched it with fierce satisfaction and aching love. But danger circled closer. One evening, returning from Malik's new school, our car was followed. I took evasive routes, lost them in traffic. That night in the condo, passion turned almost violent, fear transmuted into need. We clung to each other as if the world might end. Afterward, she cried. I love you, she whispered, first time saying it, but I'm terrified this will destroy us. I held her tighter. I love you too, and I'll destroy anything that tries to hurt you. The words were vow and warning. My inner turmoil reached shattering intensity. Love so profound it hurt, remorse for the risks I imposed, determination to protect them at any cost. The secret affair had become life, intense, all-consuming. I was no longer a man alone. I was hers. Completely, irrevocably. The secret could not last forever. I knew it the way I knew the ocean would keep crashing against my cliffs. Inevitable, relentless. Yet I clung to the illusion that I could protect Aaliyah and Malik inside the bubble I had built. The Koreatown condo, private security, my name as shield. For a few precious weeks, it worked. We lived in stolen hours of tenderness and fire. Nights tangled in sheets, mornings with Malik's laughter echoing off high ceilings. Quiet evenings where she studied and I watched her, heart full to bursting. But power has eyes everywhere, and blood calls to blood. It began with a routine precaution. My most trusted lieutenant, Daniel, loyal since we were boys in Seoul, grew uneasy about the risks. Boss, he said one evening in my office, voice low, we need to know everything about her. For your safety, for the families. I resisted. The love burning in me recoiled at the thought of digging into her past. She had shared it willingly in fragments. Absent father, mother gone too young, years of foster homes and dead-end jobs. But Daniel insisted, quietly, respectfully. Just background, nothing invasive. I relented. One condition, I would see the report first. The envelope arrived 3 days later, sealed, delivered by hand. I opened it alone in the mansion's study. Ocean dark beyond the windows. Whiskey untouched on the desk. The first pages were expected. Birth records, school transcripts, medical history for Malik, credit reports buried in red. Poverty laid bare in black and white. Evictions, hospital bills, food assistance applications. Each line twisted the knife deeper. The brutal, humiliating reality of her life before me. Then the DNA analysis, voluntary sample from a glass she had used, cross-referenced against known associates for security threats. The match lit the page like fire. Aaliyah Brooks, born 25 years ago, biological father, Park Tae-ho. The name hit me like a physical blow. Park Tae-ho, the man who had ordered the hit on my father 30 years earlier. The rival who had clawed his way up by betraying alliances, spilling blood, carving territory from corpses. The enemy whose name alone sent ice through my veins. I read it twice, 3 times. The lab confirmation was ironclad. Paternity probability 99.9%. The room spun. I gripped the desk, breath ragged. Shock crashed over me, violent, numbing. Every memory of Aaliyah flashed. Her timid smile, her thin hands lighting incense for my mother, her body arching beneath mine in trust and passion. All of it now poisoned by this impossible truth. She was the daughter of the man I hated most in the world. Guilt exploded, remorse for every touch, every promise. I had taken his child into my bed, into my heart. The love that had redeemed me now threatened to destroy everything. I did not sleep. I sat in the dark until dawn, turmoil raging, love fierce and unyielding, horror at the betrayal I had unknowingly committed against my own blood oath, terror that this revelation would reach Park, or worse, my own family. By morning, I had Daniel run deeper check. Park had never acknowledged Aaliyah, abandoned her mother during pregnancy, left them to poverty while he built his empire. Aaliyah had no idea. She believed her father dead or gone. The cruelty of it, the absurd, heartbreaking fate, tore at me. Park's neglect had starved her, frozen her, crushed her with injustice. And now his blood tied her to my war. I drove to the condo at noon. Aaliyah greeted me with a smile, soft, warm, trusting. Malik at school. She wore one of my shirts, sleeves rolled, hair loose. The sight fractured me further. We made love immediately, urgent, almost desperate. I held her tighter than usual, kissed her deeper, as if I could imprint myself before everything shattered. She sensed the storm, clung harder, whispered my name like a question. Afterward, lying tangled, she traced my tense jaw. What's wrong? I could not tell her. Not yet. The words would destroy her. Nothing, I lied, kissing her forehead. But secrecy eroded us. 2 nights later, confrontation came street level, bold and unexpected. I was leaving a late meeting in Koreatown when 4 of Park's men blocked the alley behind the restaurant, waiting, deliberate. The leader stepped forward, smirking. "Heard you've been keeping interesting company, Kang. Real interesting." My blood turned cold. They knew. "Careful," I said quietly. He laughed. "Park sends a message. Says blood's thicker than whatever game you're playing. Says bring his daughter home or pay the price." The word daughter hit like a blade. I moved before thought, grabbing his collar, slamming him against the brick wall. No blows landed, but the threat in my eyes was lethal. "Tell Park if he comes near her, I end him." They backed away, laughing nervously, vanishing into the night. I drove to the condo, shaking with rage and fear. Aaliyah opened the door, face paling at my expression. "What happened?" I pulled her inside, locked the door. "We need to talk." She sank onto the couch, dread rising. "You're scaring me." I knelt before her, me, Minjun Kang, on my knees again. I took her hands. "There's something about your father." Her breath hitched. "He's been gone since before I was born. Why?" I told her, gently as I could. The paternity test. Park Tae-ho. The abandonment. The danger. Shock crashed over her, eyes widening, body swaying. Dizziness hit hard. She gripped my hands to stay upright. Tears spilled silently. He knew about me? And left me to all this? Her voice broke, soft, restrained, but laced with decades of pain. The poverty, the hunger, the cold nights, all traceable to a father who chose power over her. I pulled her into my arms. She sobbed against my chest, deep, wrenching cries that tore my heart apart. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "So sorry." She clung tighter. "You didn't know." "But I brought you into this war." She pulled back, eyes fierce through tears. "No, you saved me from it, from everything." We held each other as grief and love warred. The revelation had shattered illusions, but not us. Later, in bed, we made love slowly, tender, healing, every touch a promise. I would protect her from him, from anyone. But the storm was only beginning. My family elders summoned me the next day. Word had spread, inescapable in our world. They gathered in the restaurant's private room. Stern faces, traditional hanbok for some, disappointment heavy in the air. "This is betrayal," one uncle said, "sleeping with Park's blood, weakening us." Another, "End it, or step down." I stood tall. "She knew nothing of him. She's innocent. She's his daughter," they countered. Blood doesn't lie. Rage and remorse collided inside me. I had dishonored my father's memory, yet losing her was unthinkable. "I love her," I said quietly. "I won't give her up." Silence fell, shocked, disapproving. I left without their blessing. That night, Aaliyah waited in the condo, Malik asleep. She had overheard a call, knew about the family pressure. She met me at the door, eyes red. "They want you to choose." I pulled her close. "I already have." She buried her face in my shoulder. "I'll leave, if it keeps you safe." "No." My voice was fierce. "You're not going anywhere." We stood there, holding each other against the gathering storm. The revelation had torn open old wounds, exposed impossible ties. But our love, passionate, defiant, burned brighter. I would face Park, face my family, face everything, for her, for us. The revelation spread like wildfire through the tight channels of our world, quiet at first, then roaring. Whispers in Koreatown restaurants, coded messages in back rooms, knowing glances at business meetings. Park Tae-ho's daughter in my bed. In my home. Carrying my protection like a brand. I expected retaliation from Park. I did not expect it from my own blood. The summons came 2 days later, a formal meeting at the family restaurant, closed to the public. Elders only, no lieutenants, no guards inside the room. I knew what it meant before I arrived. The private dining hall was heavy with incense from my mother's altar in the corner. Her portrait watched from the wall, eyes calm and judging. 10 elders sat around the long table, uncles, aunts, cousins who had stood with my father. Gray hair, traditional handbook for the oldest, faces carved from decades of survival in America's shadows. I entered alone, bowed deeply, respect first, always. They did not return the bow fully. The silence was a blade. My eldest uncle, chairman of the council, spoke first. His voice was gravel. "Min-jun, sit." I sat at the end, lowest position, a deliberate slight. "We have heard disturbing reports," he continued, "about the woman you keep, Aaliyah Brooks." I met his gaze steadily. "She is under my protection." Another uncle leaned forward. "She is Park Tae-ho's blood, his daughter." Murmurs rippled, disapproval thick as smoke. I nodded. "Illegitimate, unknown to her until recently, abandoned by him since birth." "That changes nothing," an aunt said sharply. "Blood is blood. You bring enemy seed into our house, into your bed. This is betrayal of your father's memory." The words struck deep. My father, gunned down on Park's orders when I was 20. I had built everything on avenging that debt, on never forgiving. Guilt surged, violent, tearing. Remorse for dishonoring the past while clinging to a future with the daughter of his killer. She is innocent, I said quietly. She suffered because of him. Poverty, hunger, cold, everything we fought to escape. Chairman Uncle's eyes hardened. And you reward that suffering by making her your woman? Weakening us for personal desire? I stood slowly. It is not desire, it is love. The room erupted, voices overlapping in Korean and English. Love? Madness! He has lost his mind. One cousin, younger, bolder. Park laughs at us now, calls you weak, says you bed his leftover trash. Rage flashed, hot, blinding. I leaned on the table. Choose your next words carefully. He paled but pressed. Step down, Minjun, or end it with her. The family demands it. Silence fell again, heavy, suffocating. I looked at each face. Loyalty earned through decades, bonds forged in blood and fire. My mother's portrait seemed to watch closest. I will not end it, I said. My voice was calm, but inside I was fracturing. I love her. I love her son as my own. They are my family now. Chairman Uncle stood. Then you choose them over us. Pain lanced through me, sharp, emotional rupture. I choose life over vengeance, something my mother would have wanted. Gasps. Invoking her name was sacrilege here. You dishonor her memory, an aunt whispered, tears in her eyes. I bowed deeply, final respect. I am sorry you feel that way. I left the room without permission. The door closed behind me like a tomb. Outside, Daniel waited, face grim. He had heard everything. They'll vote to remove you, he said quietly. Let them try. But the ultimatum had landed. I drove to the condo in a daze, city lights blurring through unshed tears. The love that had saved me now threatened to cost me everything. Family, power, legacy. Aaliyah opened the door, sensing immediately. Malik had a friend's for the evening. She pulled me inside, arms around my neck. What happened? I told her, voice breaking for the first time in decades. The demands, the choice. She went pale, shock, then guilt crashing over her. She swayed, dizziness from the weight of it. I caught her, guided her to the couch. This is my fault, she whispered, tears streaming. I'm destroying you. No, I knelt, cupping her face. You're saving me. She sobbed, deep, wrenching. They're your family, your blood. I have nothing to give you but trouble. You give me everything. We clung together on the floor, her thin body shaking, my strong one trembling. The contrast had never been crueler. Her past poverty now weaponized against us, my wealth and power useless against family honor. That night, passion was desperate, clothes torn in haste, bodies colliding with need to affirm life amid ruin. I worshipped her with hands and mouth, whispering love against her skin. She responded with equal fervor, nails marking my back, tears mixing with kisses. Afterward, tangled in sheets, she whispered, I'll leave, if it fixes this. I pulled her closer, fierce. Never. But danger escalated. 2 nights later, leaving a discreet meeting to shore up loyal lieutenants, Park's men struck bold on the street, 6 this time, blocking my car in a Koreatown alley. The leader leaned in my window. Park wants his daughter back, says you've had your fun. I stepped out slowly. Rain slicked the pavement, cold December downpour. She's not his, I said. He laughed. Blood says different. Bring her, or we take her. Suspense crackled, headlights glinting off wet concrete, distant traffic the only sound. I advanced. Try. They hesitated. My reputation still held. Backed away slowly, threats echoing. I returned to the condo soaked, shaking with suppressed rage. Aaliyah waited, face drawn with worry. She wrapped me in a towel, hands gentle. They won't stop, she said softly. They will when I make them. But inside, turmoil peaked. Love against legacy, redemption against revenge. I had lost my family's trust. Park circled like a shark. Yet holding her, feeling her heartbeat against mine, I knew the choice was already made. She was my family now. The ultimatum had torn me open, exposed every fracture. But in her arms, I began to heal. The ultimatum hung over us like a storm cloud that refused to break. I let Aaliyah go, not because I wanted to. Every cell in my body screamed against it, but because I convinced myself it was the only way to keep her alive. My family had withdrawn support. Loyal lieutenants were forced to choose sides. Park Tae-ho's men grew bolder by the day. Staying with me painted a target on her back and on Malik's. I could fight one war, perhaps two, but not the entire world at once. I told her in the condo, late at night, Malik asleep in the guest room. We sat on the couch where we had first made love, her hand in mine, the city lights glittering coldly beyond the windows. "I'm sending you away," I said quietly. "Somewhere safe, new names, new city, enough money to start over." Her face crumpled, shock first, then disbelief. "No, I won't leave you." "You have to, for Malik." She shook her head fiercely, tears spilling. "We're stronger together." I cupped her face, thumbs brushing the wetness I had caused. "I can't lose you. If something happened because of me." My voice cracked. The inner turmoil was unbearable. Love so fierce it felt like violence, remorse for dragging her into this blood feud, terror that my protection had become her prison. She searched my eyes, dread rising, then dizzying numbness. "You're choosing them over us." "I'm choosing your life over everything." She pulled away, standing unsteadily. "I've been alone before, I survived, but this feels like dying." The words tore through me. I stood, reaching for her, but she backed toward the door. "Don't," she whispered, soft, broken. "Don't make me hate you for saving me." She left that night, packing only what she could carry, Malik confused and crying in her arms. I arranged everything: a safe house in Seattle, trusted contacts to escort them, funds transferred anonymously. I did not go with them to the airport. I could not bear the goodbye. The condo emptied. Her scent lingered on the pillows, her nursing books on the shelf, Malik's small drawings on the fridge. I walked the rooms like a ghost, heart fractured beyond repair. Isolation swallowed me. I returned to the Palos Verdes mansion, vast, echoing, cold. Nights were the worst, pacing marble floors, whiskey untouched, staring at the ocean that offered no answers. Guilt gnawed relentlessly, for sending her away, for failing to protect her from my world, for the love that had become her exile. My family reinstated limited support, business as usual, but trust shattered. Meetings were tense, eyes avoiding mine. I functioned, deals closed, threats neutralized, but inside I was hollow. Reports came weekly. Aaliyah and Malik safe, enrolled in new schools, her working part-time at a clinic. She refused extra money beyond basics, pride, or punishment. Each update was torture, knowing she struggled again, knowing I could fix it with a call but dared not. Despair deepened. One night, alone on the terrace, wind whipping cold from the sea, I broke. I sank to my knees, Min Jun Kang, feared by hundreds, brought low by love lost. Tears came, silent, burning, remorse for every choice that led here, violent tension between duty and heart. I whispered her name into the dark, as if she could hear across miles. Weeks turned to months. Winter deepened into a relentless chill. Then cruelty struck her again, irrational, heartbreaking. A report: Malik's asthma flared badly in Seattle's damp air. Hospital bills mounted. Aaliyah took extra shifts, skipping sleep, eating less. The old patterns returned: exhaustion, hunger, cold nights in a drafty apartment because heat cost too much. I read it in my office, hands shaking. The contrast burned. My heated mansion, private physicians on call. Her back to rationing inhalers, working double shifts on feet swollen from standing. I almost flew to her, almost broke every promise. Instead, I arranged anonymous aid, bills paid through charities, groceries delivered. She knew it was me. She sent one message through the contact: "Stop. I can't breathe when you're still saving me." The words crushed me. Loneliness became a living thing, gnawing, violent. I threw myself into work. Confrontations with Park's men grew sharper. One bold street incident in Koreatown, his crew blocking a shipment, demanding tribute for lost respect. I met them personally, 5 against 1 in a warehouse alley. Rain poured again. The leader sneered. "Heard you sent the girl running. Smart. Park would have taken her anyway." Rage exploded, cold, controlled. I stepped close. "Mention her again, and you don't walk away." They backed down, suspense thick. No blows, just the weight of my stare. But inside, I was unraveling. Another night, despair peaked. I drove to the old South LA apartment, abandoned now, windows boarded. I stood in the cold hallway where I had first carried her groceries, where she had first kissed me in gratitude. Memories flooded, her thin frame in my sweater, Malik's small hand in mine, the warmth we had built from nothing. I slid down the wall, head in hands. The powerful man, reduced to this. Love had not faded, it burned hotter in absence. Every day without her was pain, sharp, numbing, tearing. I whispered into the empty dark, "I'm sorry. I love you. Come back when it's safe." But safety felt impossible. My world closed in, family distant, enemies circling, heart fractured beyond mending. Despair settled deep, cold as the wind howling outside. I was alive, but I was not living. The call came at 3 in the morning, shattering the fragile numbness I had wrapped around myself like armor. Daniel's voice was tight, urgent. "Boss, they took her. Park's men. Grabbed Aaliyah and the boy outside their apartment in Seattle. Van plate traced to one of his shells. The bringing them south, toward LA." The world tilted. I gripped the phone until plastic creaked. Shock crashed through me, violent, disorienting. Then rage, pure and blinding. "How long?" 2 hours head start. They're on I-5. I was moving before he finished. Clothes grabbed, keys in hand, barking orders. Every lieutenant mobilized. Private jet fueled at Van Nuys, trackers activated, weapons checked. But inside, turmoil reached cataclysm. Guilt for sending her away thinking it would save her, remorse for underestimating Park's cruelty, terror that I would arrive too late. The love I had tried to bury exploded, fierce, desperate, all-consuming. I flew north myself, pilot pushing the Gulf Stream to limits. On the ground in Seattle by dawn, SUVs waiting. We intercepted the van on a desolate stretch south of Portland, fog thick, rain slashing sideways. My team boxed them in, 3 vehicles surrounding the black van on a quiet service road. No shots fired, yet. I stepped out into the downpour, coat open, heart pounding. The van doors opened slowly. 4 men emerged, Park's enforcers, faces hard. Then Aaliyah, pushed forward, hands bound, mouth gagged with duct tape. Malik clutched against her side, eyes wide with terror, small body shaking. She looked heartbreaking, thinner again from months of struggle, cheeks hollow, old coats soaked through. Rain streamed down her face, mixing with tears. When she saw me, shock widened her eyes, relief, fear, love all crashing together. She swayed, dizziness from exhaustion and adrenaline. Malik whimpered. One man held a knife loosely at the boy's back, not touching, but close enough. Park's lead enforcer smirked. Message from the boss, blood comes home. You had your fun. I stepped closer, rain plastering my hair, cold, irrelevant. Let them go. He laughed. Or what? You're alone out here. My men emerged from vehicles, silent, armed. The odds shifted. The enforcer's smirk faltered. Park just wants his daughter. Walk away, Kang. Keep your pride. Rage boiled, violent tension coiling. She's not his. Chaos erupted sudden and swift. One enforcer lunged, grabbing Aaliyah's arm, yanking her toward the van. Malik screamed. She fought, weak but fierce, elbowing, kicking. I moved without thought. The bullet meant for her, fired in panic by the man with the knife, slammed into my chest as I shielded her. Pain exploded, white-hot, stealing breath. I staggered, blood blooming warm under my shirt, but momentum carried me forward. I disarmed the shooter, slammed him to the ground. My men swarmed, efficient, overwhelming. No more shots. The enforcers subdued quickly, zip-tied, thrown into a ditch. I sank to my knees in the mud, vision tunneling. Blood soaked my coat, rain diluting it pink. Aaliyah dropped beside me, tape ripped off, hands freed by Daniel. She pressed against the wound, tears streaming. Min June. Oh God, no, no! Her voice broke. Shock, terror, guilt crashing over her. She sobbed, hands slick with my blood. Malik clung to her leg, crying. I tried to speak, reassure her, but breath came ragged. Pain was fire, but her face anchored me. Love, you, I managed. She leaned close, forehead to mine. Stay with me, please. Daniel shouted for the medic in our team, tourniquets, pressure bandages. They loaded me into an SUV, Aaliyah refusing to let go of my hand. The drive to a private clinic blurred, sirens, rain, her voice murmuring prayers. I faded in and out, her face the only constant. Surgery followed, bullet removed, lung nicked but repairable. I woke in a sterile room, monitors beeping, pain dulled by drugs. She was there, curled in a chair beside the bed, Malik asleep on a cot. She had not left. Her eyes were swollen, face drawn with exhaustion and fear. When I stirred, she jolted awake, relief flooding her features. You're awake, she whispered, voice hoarse. Tears spilled again. I reached weakly. She took my hand, pressed it to her cheek. I thought I lost you. Almost, I rasped. She leaned over, kissing my knuckles. You took a bullet for me. For both of you. Malik woke then, climbing carefully onto the bed, curling against my side. Small hand on my arm. Aaliyah watched us, love and pain warring in her eyes. I'm sorry I left, I said. I thought it would keep you safe. She shook her head. It almost killed us both. We stayed like that, quiet, tender. Monitors steady, rain soft against windows. For the first time in months, despair lifted slightly. But recovery was slow. Infection set in, fever, delirium. Aaliyah nursed me herself, refusing to leave, changing bandages, spooning broth when I was too weak. Her nursing skills, honed in poverty and necessity, saved me again. In fever dreams, I saw her past. Cold nights huddled with Malik, hunger sharp as knives, eviction doors locked. I woke crying out, guilt for failing her. She soothed me. Cool cloths, soft voice. I'm here. We're here. One night, fever breaking, I pulled her onto the bed beside me. She curled carefully against my good side. I can't live without you, I whispered. Not again. She kissed me, gentle, tear-salted. Then don't. Passion returned slowly, tender touches, careful kisses. Pain mingled with pleasure, but love burned brighter. Park's men were handled, evidence delivered anonymously to authorities, arrests quiet but permanent. He lost face, territory, power. My family heard of the shooting. Some reached out, concern cracking disapproval. But the near death had clarified everything. Love was not weakness. It was the only strength that mattered. As I healed, holding Aaliyah and Malik in the clinic bed, despair transformed, slowly, painfully, into fierce determination. We would face the rest together. No more separation, no more despair. Only us. The weeks in the hidden safe house blurred into a haze of pain, fever, and her unwavering presence. The clinic had released me too soon, against medical advice, but I refused to stay where Park's reach might find us. We moved to a secluded property in the San Bernardino Mountains, a modern cabin I owned under a shell company, surrounded by pines and snow-dusted peaks. Private security patrolled the perimeter. A discreet doctor visited daily. But it was Aaliyah who truly nursed me, changing dressings, monitoring vitals with the steady hands of someone who had learned medicine from necessity, not textbooks. I was weak, fever spiking, wound throbbing, lungs burning with every breath. Painkillers dulled the edges, but vulnerability stripped me bare. Min Jun Kang, the man who commanded fear in boardrooms and back alleys, reduced to a patient in borrowed pajamas, dependent on the woman I had tried to send away. She never left my side. Malik played quietly in the next room. Coloring books, video games on a tablet, meals prepared by the housekeeper. But Aaliyah slept on a cot beside my bed, waking at every restless movement. Her face grew drawn again, dark circles from sleepless nights, cheeks hollow from skipped meals to sit with me. The old patterns of sacrifice returned, heartbreaking in their familiarity. I watched her through fevered eyes and felt guilt like acid. She had escaped poverty's grip only to be pulled back by my world, nursing me while her own body cried for rest, for food, for peace. One night, delirium peaked. Fevered dreams dragged me through memories, my father's death, my mother's final days, Aaliyah's thin frame in that first cold apartment. I thrashed, calling her name. She was there instantly, cool cloth on my forehead, soft voice soothing. "I'm here, Minjun. I'm right here." I gripped her hand, weak but desperate. "Don't leave, please." Tears filled her eyes. "I won't. Never again." She climbed carefully onto the bed, curling against my good side. Her warmth anchored me. Fever broke slowly, sweat cooling on my skin. In the quiet aftermath, I turned to her, voice hoarse. "I thought sending you away would save you. Instead, it almost killed us both." She traced my jaw gently. "You were trying to protect me. I know that now. I was a coward." "No." Her voice was firm, soft. "You were broken, like I was." We lay in silence, snow falling softly outside the window. Her breathing evened mine. Days turned to reflection. As strength returned, I watched her more clearly. The way she moved with quiet efficiency, preparing herbal tea from my mother's old recipes, reading to Malik in soothing tones, checking my bandages with professional care. She had gained weight in our time together before the separation. Now it melted away again under stress. I saw the toll, hands trembling from fatigue, eyes shadowed by worry. One afternoon, sunlight slanting through pines, I pulled her onto the bed beside me. "You're not eating enough," I said. She tried to smile. "I'm fine." "You're not." I cupped her cheek, thumb brushing the hollow beneath her eye. "You're sacrificing again." "For me." Tears welled. "I'd do anything for you." The confession broke something open. I kissed her, slow, reverent. Pain flared in my chest, but I ignored it. She responded carefully, passion tempered by fear of hurting me. We made love that day, gentle, almost fragile. Every touch a confession, every sigh a promise. I worshipped her body with lips and hands, memorizing curves I had feared losing forever. She cried softly, not from pain, but release. Afterward, tangled in sheets warmed by afternoon sun, she rested her head on my uninjured shoulder. "I love you," she whispered, voice steady now. I never stopped. Even when I hated you for sending me away. The words healed and wounded. "I love you more than life. Taking that bullet was nothing compared to living without you." She lifted her head, eyes searching. "What happens now?" I traced her lips. "We face it together. Park is weakened, his men arrested, territory crumbling. My family. They'll come around or they won't. But you and Malik, you're my family." Tears spilled again. She buried her face in my neck. "I'm scared of losing this." "You won't." But healing was not linear. Nights brought nightmares, the bullet's impact, her scream, Malik's terror. I woke gasping, reaching for her. She soothed me, hands gentle, voice steady. One dawn, snow blanketing the mountains in silence, I confessed deepest remorse. "I failed you," I whispered into her hair. "My world hurt you. Poverty hurt you first, but I made it worse." She pulled back, eyes fierce. "You saved me, from cold nights, from hunger, from despair. You gave me hope, love, a future. I almost took it away, but you didn't." She kissed me, soft, healing. "You took a bullet instead." We made love again, slow, reverent. Pain mingled with pleasure, but love transcended both. Recovery brought clarity. I began dismantling dangerous parts of the empire. Legitimate businesses transferred to community trusts. Risky operations shut down. Quietly, ruthlessly. Power shifted, but I cared less each day. Aaliyah watched, curious, cautious. "You're changing everything." "For you, for us." She smiled, real, warm. Weight returned slowly, color to her cheeks. Malik thrived, laughing in snow, calling me Minjun Appa in shy moments. One evening, fire crackling in the stone hearth, we sat wrapped in blankets, Malik asleep upstairs. She turned to me. "I used to pray for someone to see me, really see me. Not the poor single mom, not the charity case, just me." I took her hand. "I see you every day." Tears glistened. "And I see you, the man who kneels in crumbling apartments, who takes bullets for people who have nothing." We kissed, passion rising again, but tempered by tenderness. The near death had stripped illusions. Love was not rescue alone, it was choice, daily, deliberate. In her arms, beside the fire, turmoil quieted. Redemption was not dramatic, it was this. Her breath against my skin, Malik's laughter echoing, a future built from ruins. I was healing. We were healing. Together. The mountain cabin became our sanctuary for months, but spring brought change. Snow melted into streams rushing down the San Bernardino slopes, mirroring the slow thawing inside me. My wound scarred, a raised line across my chest, reminder of the bullet I took for her. Pain lingered, but it was nothing compared to the inner storm that finally began to quiet. Aaliyah bloomed in the quiet. Weight returned, soft curves where bones had shown, color in her cheeks from rest and real meals. She finished her nursing certification online, studying by the fireplace while Malik played nearby. I watched her, heart full, remorse easing into gratitude. She had nursed me body and soul. We returned to Los Angeles in April, carefully. The condo waited, renovated with warmer touches, bookshelves for her studies, a room painted blue for Malik, a small altar in the corner with my mother's portrait and fresh flowers. Park was broken, empire dismantled by arrests and defections. He fled south, a shadow of the man who had terrorized us. My family elders reached out, tentative, respectful. The shooting had changed perspectives. Love that survived a bullet carried weight. One uncle visited the condo, bowed deeply to Aaliyah, called her daughter-in-law for the first time. She cried quietly in the kitchen afterward, overwhelmed. We married in June, a small ceremony in the Palos Verdes garden overlooking the ocean. Cherry blossoms I had flown in from Washington State framed a simple arch. Malik carried rings on a velvet pillow, grinning in his tiny suit. Aaliyah wore white lace, elegant, radiant. I could not speak my vows at first, emotion choking me. She waited, eyes shining. "I choose you," I finally said. "Today, every day. You healed what was broken in me." She smiled through tears. "You showed me I was worth saving." We exchanged rings, simple gold bands engraved with our initials. No grand reception, just close loyalists, Daniel as best man, a few family members who had come around. Barbecue on the terrace, laughter echoing over waves. Life settled into rhythm. Aaliyah worked part-time at a free clinic in Koreatown, one I had quietly funded years earlier, now expanded with community grants. She thrived, helping families like her former self, teaching Malik compassion through action. I shifted the empire fully legitimate. Real estate, restaurants, investments. Power remained, but cleaner. Wealth grew, but I used it differently. Scholarships for single mothers, asthma programs for kids, anonymous aid that eased the injustices I could reach. Malik called me dad without hesitation now. We built sandcastles at the beach, attended his school plays, taught him Korean phrases alongside Aaliyah's family recipes. Years passed gently. By October 2025, we sat on the same terrace where we married, watching sunset paint the ocean gold. Malik, now 10, played soccer on the lawn below. Aaliyah rested against me, hand on the swell of her belly, our daughter due in winter. I kissed her temple. Happy? She smiled, soft, timeless. More than I ever dreamed. The inner turmoil had transformed. Love no longer warred with guilt. It had won. Knowledge of her past suffering made every moment precious. Life lesson in every shared meal, every quiet night. Education and compassion from watching her heal others. Knowledge that love transcends barriers. Life lesson that true power lifts, not crushes. Education in humanity from building a family across divides. Knowledge of redemption through choice. Life lesson in forgiveness, of self, of others. Education that wealth means nothing without heart. Knowledge and life lesson and education woven into our days. Love crosses skin color, class, past wounds. Wealth and poverty cannot stop compassion, humanity, connection. We proved it, defiant union blooming into new beginning. To all of you watching, may good health fill your days, a joyful life warm your hearts, and daily peace settle your spirits. Thank you for joining this journey on Crimson Romance Stories. If this tale touched you, please subscribe, like, and share the channel so we can bring more stories every day. How did this story make you feel? Does it echo real life for you, the power of love against odds? Share your thoughts, your emotions in the comments below. I read every one. Goodbye for now. See you in the next video.